In the previous chapter, we were introduced to the figure of Manki. I suspect there's more to this story than meets the eye. Vasishta was on his way to attend a religious ceremony, and he was clearly flying through the air. And at one point he descended and entered a dense forest, which was dusty and hot. We don't think of dense forests as being dusty and hot, do we? Dusty and hot is more like a desert. But this is a dense forest which was dusty and hot. And then he heard a wayfarer wail, "Alas, just as the sun burns everything, the company of the wicked is productive only of sorrow and sin." So this is a standard understanding. You try to hang out with good people. So what's this wayfarer's next statement? "Let me go to that village yonder and find some relief from fatigue." So are we to assume that this village is filled with good people? Well, this is Manki that's speaking. He's a wayfarer. It's quite clear that he's looking for spiritual illumination. So he's not going to go to a village. Why should he go to the village just after denouncing the company of the wicked? I'll tell you what I'm thinking here. This is Vasishta. This Manki represents a moment of weakness in Vasishta. He descended into a dense forest. He was getting entangled. It was dusty and hot. It was uncomfortable. He wanted some comfort. He was looking for comfort. And it's nice to get comfort from the company of others, no matter their nature, just some human contact, especially if you've been alone for a while. So I suspect this dialogue is an externalization of something that was going on within Vasishta, because this Manki seems to be all over the place. So Vasishta is rebuking himself, and he's saying he's not going to get any satisfaction by going to the village any more than you'd quench your thirst by drinking salty water. So he's pulling himself up here. It's not something he's going to do. He's not going to give in to this weakness. It's better to be a snake in a dark cave. It is better to be a worm in a rock. It is better to be a lame deer in a desert than to remain in the company of ignorant people. It's not so much that the company is bad as our attitude to it. We are looking for some kind of reinforcement of our delusion. So this is what we have to watch out for. Not the bad company as such, but the way in which we let certain company reinforce our delusions. So this company gives rise to momentary pleasure, but it's destructive of self. It is poisonous. Now, another reason I think this is all going on in Vasishta is that this guy, Manki, who seems to be all over the place, recognizes the nature of Vasishta. So in a way this is Vasishta performing self-enquiry. Why should it be presented like this? I think this is so that Vasishta is not shown as vulnerable on the face of it. But for those of us that want to look a bit deeper, we can see that this is what's going on without diminishing the stature of Vasishta. So this is Vasishta reminding himself of his real nature. He's putting this momentary desire for comfort, for pleasure, for company, this brief entanglement, he's retrieving himself from it by reminding himself of his real nature. and his real nature, the company that he really wants, is characterized by self-enquiry. And then that leads to dispersion and peace. So let's see how this proceeds. Let's see if this theory holds up. Manki said, "Lord, I have searched in the 10 directions for one who could remove my doubts, but till now I have not found such a person. Today, by your company, I have obtained the highest blessing that falls to the lot of the most fortunate among beings." So we could understand this as the spiritual inquirer, Vasishta here, realizing his own merits, that he is somebody who's found the truth, has become established in the truth, and that this is the highest blessing. In this world all things come into being and perish, and therefore there is repeated experience of sorrow. All the pleasures of the world inevitably end in sorrow. I therefore consider that sorrow is preferable to pleasure, which leads to sorrow. Being subjected to the repeated experience of pleasure and pain, my mind is filled with perverse notions, and it does not reflect the inner light of awakened intelligence. Tied to the latent tendencies born of such an ignorant life, the mind only leads me to sinful existence and activity. Thus have I wasted my days. This craving for pleasure never attains fulfillment, never finds satisfaction, and though all its aspirations end in failure, it, the craving itself, does not come to an end. In autumn the leaves dry up and fall away, but the desire for pleasure does not, nor does the anxiety that arises in the heart, and which subjects me to terrible calamities. Even he who is endowed with many blessings and who enjoys prosperity is reduced to a miserable state of existence. Such prosperity is often seen to be a bait to trap the unwary one in the pit of sorrow. So that's the alternative that we have. This is our usual condition. This is a condition of the spiritual seeker. We're continually caught up in a cycle of existential unsatisfactoriness. This is how the one that's pursuing self-enquiry motivates himself onward.